okay, let's start here, Nate. It was not a good year for the Cowboys in 20. It wasn't a good year for any of us in 2020, but it especially wasn't a good year for the Cowboys on the field. How frustrating was it for you to go through that season, doing the shows that you do for DallasCowboys.com and stuff, and the team just never got it really going in 2020?
It was many disappointments for me, Bill, but I bought into Dontari Poe. I bought into Everson Griffin. I bought into our linebackers, and I thought they would make this team a better defensive team. And so even when we had the injuries coming in out of training camp with Lyle Collins and with our left tackle Smith, I was like, man, we all right, because we'll have a defense that can possibly get people off the field and get a turnover here and there. So I felt good. But when the thing fell apart with Dontari Poe, with Everson Griffin, and then our coaches were slow to move to put in the young guys like Naval and the other guys that were young, it got really disappointing, because we joked at the beginning of the year, oh, we'll put up a 40 burger each game. Well, when it became a reality that you couldn't get those 40 burgers, and then when Dak left the field and it became just a hardcore fact that it wasn't going to be no 30 or 40 burgers, and our defense couldn't stop nobody because we was at a record high pace of giving up points and yards. Bill, that right there shook Big Newton. It's hard to shake a fat man.
So, as they enter this offseason, what do you think is the number one priority for this offseason now?
And you're not talking about Dak, right? You're talking about what's
Dak is we'll save Dak. Okay, right, obviously right. Dak is the number one priority. Right. What's the number two priority?
Number one B is defense. And anywhere that you can get an impact player, you have to go get it. I don't care if it's a safety. I don't care if it's a one technique. That's the guy that plays over the center, which we don't value a guy that plays over the center. We don't value a guy that plays deep in the back end. Well, I don't care where this player is, the Dallas Cowboys have to get him. Okay, this year the draft don't favor defensive players. It favors offensive players. So we may not get a guy in the first round at number 10 that can fit that, because I don't believe in reaching to get you killed. But if we do, we should be able from the second round on to be able to fill our roster with guys that can come in and have not a major impact, but can be building blocks that can help this defense. If we can get Naval and Tristan Hill to grow up real quick, we'll have the middle of our defense kind of set. And with the new defensive coordinator, we should have a chance. But the number one thing is any impact player that can impact our defense through free agency or the draft.
You look back at your Super Bowl teams of the 90s, and offense got a lot of the praise, and rightly so, but that defense deserved a lot of the praise too. And it's kind of been shown here in the playoffs this year. It shows it every year in the playoffs that you got to have a defense in order to get to where you want to be.
I tell people, and I laugh, because Jason Pierre-Paul was a part of that Giants team that came in and beat us here a few years ago as they made their run to the Super Bowl. Guess who shows back up again and has a great playoff run? Jason Pierre-Paul. If defense is not going to be a factor here, we're going to always be a high-scoring team, but a team that will always get knocked out in the first round. And that's just how it will be. Every year when the Cowboys get into the playoffs, our biggest fear is that we run into a team that can run the ball. And once the team can run the ball, then you can dink and dunk, and you don't know how to defense that team. Our other second biggest fear is that we don't have a defense to stop that. So we will never go further than the first round of the playoffs because we don't have a defense. That's the bottom line. If we don't go out and get a defense, somebody that can coach a defense to get guys that second-tier guys to play over their heads for 15 games, we're in trouble.
All right, you look back at those 90s Cowboys teams. How big was Charles Haley in getting this team over the hump?
Man, how big was King Kong when he tore down New York, man? I mean, come on, bro. We had good players. We had Tolbert, we had Russell Maryland, we had Casillas, we had all of these guys, right? But they weren't lead dogs. Charles is a lead dog, man. When you have a sled, you have a dog in the front, you have a dog in the back. And if that guy in the front is leading, but that guy in the back, in the middle of the pack, ain't acting right, they got a guy that'll snip at his heels to get him right. And that's what Charles Haley was. He was our lead dog, and he would snip at folks when you didn't get it right. So Charles Haley was big. He helped us win that first Super Bowl because now you had to pay attention to our defense. Look at here, Bill. Let me tell you something. Go back and check the records, man. We were a top 5 defense when we were rolling, when we were winning Super Bowls, when we were in the playoffs every year. We were a top 5 defense. Takeaways, points scored against. We were everything because Charles Haley, guys like Deion Sanders, you have to have a lead dog. Where's the lead dog for the Dallas Cowboys? You got a bunch of poodles snacking around out there. They're alert dog. That's all they doing. Come on, man.
So they need a lead dog like Charles Haley, whether it's a defensive end, whether it's a 3 technique, a cornerback, safety. They just need a lead dog, right?
Warren Sapp did it for the Tampa Bay. Remember, he was a 3 technique. He played over the center and he played over both guards, depending on the strength of the offense. It don't matter who this lead dog is. It could be like Deion was for the San Francisco 49ers. You can be that cornerback. So now you can blitz more. You can do, but you need a lead dog. You need somebody that when the defense look up, when the offense look up, you're like, okay, this guy's over here. But you got an advantage. Number 99 for the Rams. They walk in every day knowing we got an advantage in one guy. We have an advantage in Aaron Donald. Who is our guy? Who is our advantage?
Okay, so how much did you already had Charles Haley? So how big was it getting Deion then in the 95 season?
We just needed it because this lead dog, Charles, was getting a little beat up and a little weary. His back was going out from toe to teeth. So we needed Deion to come in there, energize us, baby. So now we can do what we want. We can blitz, we can double. See, what Deion would do was take away the second receiver, you double the first receiver. Now, I took smart guys because the defense has changed a lot due to motion. But Deion take away that second guy, either the first guy, depending on how they want to run it. And all of a sudden, now you got an extra guy. And Charles was still good enough to you had to turn the defense protection, the offense protection towards Charles. That freed up Tony Tolbert, that freed up Russell Marion, that freed up other guys to make plays, man. Remember now, we had Ken Norton too. We had some dogs, man. You know we had some dogs, Bill. Come on now.
All right, which brings me to Dak and his contract situation, because Deion comes in. It was a 5-year, $25 million contract with a huge signing bonus. When you start talking allocating that kind of money, okay, that was 25, 26 years ago.
Yes, sir.
Whatever the Dak money is going to be, how difficult is it to make it work in the locker room when other guys need to be paid? We all remember the "Are you mad about the money?" Quote when Deion signed with the Cowboys back in '95.
Okay, I was one of the guys that was getting paid less than $500,000. What you gonna do? Quit? What you gonna do? Not play? Let me tell you something. If the Mr. Jones and his people decide that Dak is worthy, pay him. If they decide that he's not, don't pay him. But understand me, you can't walk away from Dak and tell the public that we building a defense. Now you have to go out and fill your team with quality defensive players so you can be very, very competitive. You don't want to walk away from this year with no Dak and not be competitive. One thing you got to give the Seattle Seahawks before they got Wilson, they were being competitive. They built the team. They had a defense. They had players in place. Now they had their quarterback. Well, we're a little bit different. We don't have the players in place. Now we have a bunch of offensive weapons that need to be directed by a good quarterback and offensive coordinator, but we don't have a defense. You brought in Coach Quinn. I don't think you can sell the fans on he's a great coach if he has no players, because all you have is another bunch of guys running around. You have to, at all costs, man, decide whether Dak is your guy or build your defense.
How important is it to get the Dak deal done before offseason starts?
It's everything to me. See, I'm not a big wig, so I can't think of all the angles, but you got exclusive and a non-exclusive tag. and either one of them means that Dak leaves. So I don't want him tagged. I've said it 2 years in a row, 3 years in a row. I've got in arguments with my other media type friends. I say every time you sign a tag, you're 50% closer to being out the door. You sign the first tag, that puts you at 50%. You sign the next tag, that's 100%. That gone. Why would you come back? You get close to 40 million this year, then all of a sudden the world is yours. So the world is yours because Mr. Jones, man, ain't gonna pay, 57 million, 50 something million in next year. So if this thing don't get done and they have to tag that, it's over. No more Dak. And like I say, we should put all our allocations towards having a great defense so we can have anybody that's leading us offensively as a quarterback, give them every opportunity.
All right, last weekend, you were in Jackson, Mississippi for the head coaching debut at Jackson State for your good friend Deion Sanders. What was that like?
That was a great situation. And Troy came in, and man, Troy's a great teammate, great guy. Troy came in and spoke to the team. I was up in the press box, and he was down there. I came down there, and I was a nobody. I'm thinking everybody gonna be jacked up to see old Nate Newton. They're like, man, Troy was here. Troy was here. I'm like, okay, the quarterback once again is won. But anyway, I appreciate Troy showing up and doing that. And Deion, I know the first thing you told me as we was walking off the field, Bill, I wanted to beat them by 80. I wanted to beat them by 100. Just beating a team that we don't know nothing about by 50 don't give me a good. Make people look at me good. I'm like, oh, right. You want to Nick Saban folks? Right.
Well, it was 53-0. So at least he made Switzer happy. He hung half 100 on him.
Yeah.
Who were they playing?
They was playing Edward Waters.
Ed Werder.
Edward Water, not Ed Water. It'll be Ed Water 100,000 for nothing. It was Edward Waters, and this team out of Jacksonville. They just starting their program up, and they trying to build. And so Prime them fell into a great situation this week here. I think they got Mississippi Valley or somebody like that. Be a little bit more competitive team, but I ain't gonna be able to make it. I got to do something with my wife. If it was in the fall, I would tell her to wait, but it's in the spring, so I have to do what she said.
Now, do they have FAMU, your alma mater, on their schedule?
Next year, during the fall. Yes, sir. They play in Miami, and I'm hoping that I'll be free to fly down. It'll be my first time on the plane in a lot of months because I want to see how they do against my old alma mater. Better still, how my alma mater would do against Prime and his soldiers of fortune. You know what I'm saying?
All right. And it's really cool that Troy made it a point to be there for Deion's college head coaching debut. How special is it that the whole group of players that you played with on those 90s Cowboys teams, how you support each other? Here we are a quarter century later, and you're friends for life.
You know what? If any of these guys call me, man, and my schedule is open or close to being open, or if I can arrange it so it can get open, I do it, man. I mean, we had a unique team because a lot of teams don't have what we had, whereas Troy can ask us to do something as a team. We do it. Mike, Emmett, any of these guys, they have functions and they say, hey, man, we need you. We want you. Come on in, and we do it, man. I find out that Drew Pearson and his group is the same way. There's something about being a Dallas Cowboys, man, especially the ones that have won Super Bowls together. That blood, sweat, and tears is for real with us.
And let's hope and pray that this COVID stuff, this pandemic, is over by August in the Pro Football Hall of Fame ceremony. What will it be like when Jimmy Johnson goes into the Hall of Fame, the Cowboys reunion that weekend?
I'm gonna be there. That's all I can tell you, Bill. I'm driving. I'm going a day or two before I'm driving. I'm going to see Coach Johnson, man. He one of the greatest coaches ever to coach the game, man.